President Zelensky hopes to achieve right here tonight?
Well, David, tonight we can expect a very direct and emotional appeal for more military and humanitarian aid from President Zelensky. You said it's been 300 days since Russia invaded Ukraine. This is his first trip outside of the country, coming here to Capitol Hill to meet with lawmakers. And soon it will be a divided government here in Washington, D.C., as Republicans are expected to take control of the House in January. You see there, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell earlier today, he said it's the morally right thing to do for America to continue to provide support to Ukraine, that it's in our best interest. And tonight, this will definitely be historic, an image that we have not seen here on Capitol Hill since 1941, when Winston Churchill addressed members of Congress. Today, Zelensky was asked what his message is to Ukraine, and he talked about a message of peace, something that is so foreign to his country, to the people who live in Ukraine right now, as they are under siege by Russia at this point. But the Congress is considering an additional $45 billion in aid. You see House Speaker Nancy Pelosi standing there at the front of the House chamber. She's actually wearing a pin that was given to her by President Zelensky when she was on the ground in Ukraine. She told all members tonight that there will be a very special focus on democracy, David.
And this is the moment, Rachel Scott on the Hill for us. There you see President Zelensky waiting to be introduced.
Of Ukraine.
That was it. House Sergeant at Arms General William Walker introducing President Zelensky. This is an extraordinary moment playing out in Washington, and it feels an awful lot like a State of the Union address for those of you who have joined us over the many years that we've covered those live as well. Shaking hands, being welcomed by Republicans and Democrats inside that chamber for a joint meeting, we're calling this. President Zelensky clearly deciding to continue to wear what he has worn during the entire course of this war. No formal suit for him and tie. And for those of us who have met him in person, this is not a surprise. I've been told by that source close to the president that he is here in the U.S., but will leave very soon after. Obviously not giving away any travel details, but does not plan to stay here in the U.S. for very long at all. He wants to get back to Ukraine, and back to the work at home. Let's listen.
Thank you so much.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will introduce him next. Again, her trip to Ukraine, pin she wears in honor of Ukraine tonight, and one of her final actions, one of her final duties as House Speaker.
Героям слава!
Members of Congress.
I think it's too much.
I think it is. Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and the distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Volodymyr Zelensky, President of the Ukraine.
Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. It's too much for me. All this for our great people. Thank you so much. Dear Americans, in all states, cities, and communities, all those who value freedom and justice, who cherish it is strongly as we Ukrainians, in all our cities, in each and every family. I hope my words of respect and gratitude resonate in each American heart. Madam Vice President, I thank you for your efforts in helping Ukraine. Madam Speaker, you bravely visited Ukraine during the full-fledged war. Thank you very much. Great honor. Thank you. Great privilege to be here. Dear members of the Congress, representatives of both parties who also visited Kyiv, esteemed congressmen and senators from both parties who will visit Ukraine, I'm sure, in the future. Dear representatives of diaspora, present in this chamber and spread across the country, dear journalists. It's a great honor for me to be at the US Congress and speak to you and all Americans. Against all odds and doom and gloom scenarios, Ukraine didn't fall. Ukraine is alive and kicking. Thank you. And it gives me good reason to share with you our first joint victory. We defeated Russia in the battle for minds of the world. We have no fear, nor should anyone in the world have it. Ukraine's gained this victory, and it gives us courage, which inspires the entire world. Americans gained this victory, and that's why you have succeeded in uniting the global community to protect freedom and international law. Europeans gained this victory, and that's why Europe is now stronger and more independent than ever. The Russian tyranny has lost control over us. And it will never influence our minds again. Yet, we have to do whatever it takes to ensure that countries of the global south also gain such victory. I know one more, I think, very important thing. The Russians will stand a chance to be free only when they defeat the Kremlin in their minds. Yet, the battle continues, and we have to defeat the Kremlin on the battlefield. Yes, this battle is not only for the territory, for this or another part of Europe. The battle is not only for life, freedom, and security of Ukrainians or any other nation which Russia attempts to conquer. This struggle will define in what world our children and grandchildren will live, and then their children and grandchildren. It will define whether it will be a democracy of Ukrainians and for Americans for all. This battle cannot be frozen or postponed. It cannot be ignored, hoping that the ocean or something else will provide a protection. From the United States to China, from Europe to Latin America, and from Africa to Australia, the world is too interconnected and interdependent to allow someone to stay aside and at the same time to feel safe when such a battle continues. Our two nations are allies in this battle. And next year will be a turning point. I know it, the point when Ukrainian courage and American resolve must guarantee the future of our common freedom, the freedom of people who stand for their values. Ladies and gentlemen, Americans, yesterday before coming here to Washington, D.C., I was at the front line in our Bakhmut, in our stronghold in the east of Ukraine, in the Donbass. The Russian military and mercenaries have been attacking Bakhmut non-stop since May. They have been attacking it day and night, but Bakhmut stands. Last year, 70,000 people lived there in Bakhmut, in this city, and now only few civilians stay. Every inch of that land is soaked in blood. Roaring guns sound every hour. Trenches in the Donbass change hands several times a day in fierce combat and even hand fighting. But the Ukrainian Donbass stands. Russians use everything they have against Bakhmut and our beautiful cities. The occupiers have a significant advantage in artillery. They have an advantage in ammunition. They have much more missiles and planes than we ever had. And it's true, but our defense forces stand. And we all are proud of them. The Russians' tactic is primitive. They burn down and destroy everything they see. They send thugs to the front lines. They send convicts to the war. They threw everything against us, similar to the other tyranny, which is in the Battle of the Bulge. Threw everything it had against the free world, just like the brave American soldiers, which held their lines and fought back Hitler's forces during the Christmas of 1944. Brave Ukrainian soldiers are doing the same to Putin's forces this Christmas. Ukraine holds its lines and will never surrender.